Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new horror thriller from Lionsgate, Cobweb. And this is from director Chris Thomas Devlin, who recently wrote the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film that came out on Netflix. So not a great track record, and Samuel Bowden, who has a lot of experience doing much smaller films. And here we have this horror film where young Woody Norman's Peter keeps hearing bumps in the night, and his parents, played by Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr, have dark secrets hidden away from their child that are at the root of things. And is this young boy going to be able to overcome the darkness that his parents are inflicting upon him, as well as figuring out the mystery of what's behind the wall? And this horror film is certainly one of those frustrating ones where you have some quality setup, some quality performances. It has potential. It has promise. But as the film goes on, you start to realize that it's kind of spiraling. It's kind of messy. It's not fully brought together. And then leaves you an incredibly unsatisfying and anticlimactic finale. And this kind of film is frustrating in the way that you have Norman, who I think gives a rock-solid performance as the young man here. He does have the wide eyes and freaking out looks, but it's Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr who really stand out, especially as you can feel the menace that's building up in these two characters, and they're interesting, and their conflict with their son is really the anchor of this film. And oddly, the film kind of shifts with a third of it left and this final act, and kind of shifts away from them and kind of sidelines them to the point where it's just like, well, what was the setup with the rest of it? And it just kind of starts shifting into a whole different kind of thing that was built up in some shape or form throughout the film, but never really feels like it should be the main conflict, because we spent all this time with the parents and how they've been poorly treating their son. You also have Cleopatra Coleman's Miss Devine, who is the teacher at the school, and I like her character in the sense that she is kind, she cares about this child, but she's an idiot and makes every possible bad decision you could possibly make over the course of this film. And she's one of those incredibly frustrating horror movie characters that kind of takes you out of it. You have the third act of this film, which feels like it's bogged down with a subplot that nobody really cared about earlier in the film, and it gets all mixed up and messy in the finale when we're supposed to be focusing on our main character, young Peter, and his connection to all of this. You could see elements and why they would make sense coming in, but then there's these other elements that come in, feel rushed, and muddy the water when you feel like you should be getting a climax to the story that you've been sitting through. This film's only an hour and 28 minutes, and I imagine that some of those things were added to pad the run time to at least get up to that hour and a half mark, which it's close enough. But I do feel like there's certainly some tense moments. There's some decent tension that Bowden builds up in the film. And overall, it does have its scares, but there's too much idiocy in some of the characters. There's elements that feel forced into the film that really shouldn't be there. And when it really comes down to it, you get to the final moments of the film and you just kind of feel like, what the hell was the point of everything that I just watched? And I was just waiting for some other kind of resolution that never came, and left me pretty let down by how this film all plays out by the end. But overall, it has atmosphere, it has its creepy moments. Kaplan and Starr are the standouts, and overall, this film misses a lot of its potential because it's bogged down by too many other things that aren't working in its favor. But those are my thoughts on Cobweb. Let me know what you think. Let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.